Hello, my name is Pastor David Ballard. I'd like to welcome you to another segment of Bethel's Bread. Today, we are going to be in the book of Romans in chapter 12. We're going to read the first 3 verses of this particular chapter. The Bible says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith. As I read these 3 verses, I see that God is asking us not to die for him or anything like that, but what he is asking us to do is to present our bodies a living sacrifice, a holy living sacrifice, acceptable unto God, which is our reasonable service. Now, why is it reasonable for us to be a living sacrifice? Well, if you think about it, Jesus Christ died for each and every one of us. He died that he could save our soul. He's now preparing a place for us in heaven. I'm excited to go there someday. But while I'm living here, I'm supposed to be a living sacrifice. I'm supposed to be a holy sacrifice unto him. And that sacrifice is his definition of holy, not my definition of holy. So that's how we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to be conformed to this world, verse 2 says, but we're supposed to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And we're supposed to prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God for our lives. I believe he has a will of God for every single person's life. And I believe that if we look for that will in the scriptures, find our place that Jesus Christ would have for us. Then once we do that, then we see in verse 3, through the grace given unto me, every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly. In this day and age, it seems that we have a disease or a sickness that's in this world today of people thinking more of themselves than they ought to think. On my very best day, at my very best, I am a sinner at the very best. So is every single person under the sound of my voice. Please understand that we are supposed to think of ourselves as wonderful for Jesus Christ because he gave us himself, his life for us. He died on the cross for us. But at the very same time, we must realize that in our flesh dwelleth no good thing, and that should give us comfort. That shouldn't be a detriment to us. That shouldn't be a discouragement. That should be an encouragement, because it is us, these sinners, these people that are certainly undone, that Jesus Christ uses to be living sacrifices for him. I want to do my very best in this world. To do that, I've got to think soberly. I've got to realize, you know what? Jesus Christ has something for me, but I must give him the credit. Everything that I do, everything that anybody does that's for him, that will amount to eternal consequences, is simply done through him. Oh, I'm so wonderfully glad that he thinks through, he works through, he lives through me. And I'm glad that I am nothing without him. And boy, that sure does give me hope that I can do something great for him as long as I rely on him. Let's have some sober thinking in these days. Let's not get ourselves a big head or get this thought that we're something better than we are. Remember, at our very best, on our very best day, we are sinners at the very best. Allow God to use you today. Let's have some sober thinking. I'm Pastor David Ballard. Hope this encourages you today. And this has been another segment of Bethel's Bread. God bless you and have a great day.